Okay, so again, good morning. So welcome to our final period. So our the outline for our final period are the following. So we'll discuss about the Bill of Rights and also the constitutional rights, particularly the rights of the accused, the rights of the PDL, persons deprived of liberty, the rights of the children, which we have already tackled a little bit, and also the rights of the minorities, the rights of the prisoners, and human rights, and also the procedure of our criminal justice system. In fact, I have mentioned in our legal frameworks. Okay. The recorded discussion that I have provided yesterday, last night, that in the Philippines, we do have two types of justice system. So the first type of justice system is the criminal justice system, meaning to say it is the adult justice system. It is the regular procedure. The other type of justice system is the juvenile justice system, meaning to say this justice system is observed for the child in conflict with the law. Meaning to say these are children who are accused or adjudged of a certain crime. So please do not forget to watch and to review our discussion on that particular topic, which is under the legal frameworks. So without no further ado, let us discuss the first module, which is the Bill of Rights. I have emphasized this many times that once gani the government, our country, is a signatory of a particular convention, the job of the signatory countries is to make a domestic law in consonance or in response to the convention. So since we have discussed that Philippines is one of the founding signatory of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, that is the reason why under our Philippine Constitution, one of the articles that has been created is your Bill of Rights under the 1987 Philippine Constitution, Article 3. So basically, tanan nga naa sa Bill of Rights, we call them as your constitutional rights. All right. So first section is no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of the law, nor any person be denied the equal protection of the rights. So basically, the coverage or the scope of Section 1 is life, liberty, and property. But before we discuss about life, liberty, and property, let us first discuss the concept of due process of the law. Okay. So, though I've already explained this, ako rang usbon kay there are those nga nalimot. So, when you say due process of the law, it or due process, it means that the authority of the law that is valid under the Constitution. Okay, meaning to say, these are the procedures, legal procedures observed in consonance, okay, or in relation to the Philippine Constitution. Ngano kinahanglan that the procedures or legal procedures that will be created should always be in relation to the Constitution. Because remember, our Philippine Constitution is the highest law of the land. Meaning to say, whatever organizations that will be created, whatever laws that will be created, whatever procedures that will be created, it should always bow down to the Constitution. Any contradictory laws that will be created or procedures that will be created will be considered unconstitutional. Meaning to say, it will not be considered as valid. Okay. Another, after the compliance with fair and reasonable methods or procedure. That is the reason why when you say due process of the law, this is the observance of the entire legal process. Like for example, if you will arrest a person for a commission of a crime. So part of due process is the giving of the statutory right, particularly the rights of the arrested person, the giving of the Miranda rights, like right to be informed of the nature of the accusation, right to have counsel, and the right, okay, to be silent, okay, or not to answer any question. Okay, we all know that anything that you will say can be used against you. So those are the three basic rights, okay, Miranda rights of the accused, that is still part of the due process of the law. Sa panahon po sa maabot na sa korte, the judge must always make sure that the accused is represented. When you say represented, kinahanglan na asay lawyer. From the time of the arraignment, abot sa trial, abot sa promulgation of the judgment, the accused must be represented by a counsel or a lawyer. Because if trial, arraignment, or judgment will be given without the presence of the lawyer, it is a clear violation of due process of law. It is a clear violation of the rights of the accused. They get my point. They get my point. Okay. So under the Cambridge Dictionary, when you say deprivation, it means it refers to a situation which you do not have the things or conditions that are usually considered necessary for a pleasant life. Meaning to say, you are deprived, you are not allowed to enjoy the things that are necessarily be given for you to have a pleasant life. That is deprivation. Okay. So now let us focus what is meant by kuan, no person shall be deprived of life. Take note that part of the natural right is what we call right to life. And that natural right is protected by the legal rights, which is the Constitution and the statutory right. Mo na usa sa rason nga no, if a person is, for example, Kriza, iya ang gipatay si Dandana. So mo na buot pasabot nga if buhaton ng Kriza, si Kriza is liable. Criminally liable. Kay nga naman, killing of a person is a manifestation of life deprivation. They get my point. Another, if a mother will kill sa iyahang anak nga 2 years old, okay, then the mother is liable. Okay, liable of the constitutional right. And under our criminal law, if 2 years old ang bata, niya patyon sa mama, that will fall to parricide. Okay? If the child is less than 3 days old, that will fall to infanticide. Correct. If the husband will kill ang iyahang asawa, that will fall to parricide. So any form of killing is a violation of our constitutional right, particularly Section 1. Okay. Sa una, ang nahitabo na atay gitawag nga legal deprivation of life. Ano sa aman katong during the time of Ramos and during the time of Estrada and in the kuan few years of administration of Gloria Arroyo. Nganong legal man ang pagkill. Kaya nga naman, because death penalty was considered as legal before. But then again, in the middle of the administration of Gloria, she signed Republic Act 9346, which resulted to the prohibition of the imposition of death penalty. Okay. Mo nay usa sa rason ngano ang uban nato mga balao diri sa Pilipinas nga ang maximum nga penalty is death penalty dili ma-implement because of this law. Sa unang panahon, during the time of era Estrada and Ramos, the imposition of death penalty for heinous crime is considered as legal. Okay. Ganong nahimo po siyang legal because of the observation of the due process of the law. Kay, for example, si Parlan was judge was found guilty for a crime of parricide sa lower court. Example, during the time of Estrada, dayong pagkahuman, ang buhaton ana is the Supreme Court being the court of last resort. Ang buhaton niya is automatically iyang i-review ang case itself ni Parlan. So, the Supreme Court can now either base sa iyang review can now reverse o say reverse iyang usbon ang desisyon sa regional trial court. Unsa man niya pag-reverse instead of for if guilty ra gyapon, so pwede niyang i-reverse. Unsa man niya pag-reverse instead of death penalty, himuon na lang niyang life imprisonment. Pwede pod, if based on the review, makita niya nga guilty jud, pwede po niyang i-affirm ang decision of the Supreme Court. O say affirm, kung death penalty, i-implement jud ang death penalty. Maunay nahitabo ni Leo Echegaray. Kaya nga naman, based on the review of the Supreme Court, this was during the administration of Estrada, the the decision was still guilty and they have affirmed to the decision of the lower court nga is subject to death penalty. Pero sa karon dili na siya pwede. Kay nga naman, because of this law. Implementation of death penalty is a violation to Section 1. Okay? All right. Next is, now let us talk what constitute deprivation of life, deprivation of liberty, and property. So, ano sa nato matawag nga kana siya deprivation of liberty? If one is duly prevented from acting the way he wishes to do so. Okay? Remember, when you say freedom, naa kay freedom mo gawa sa inyong balay, freedom to work, freedom to go to your friends, ingon ana. Pero, if you are already prevented from going out from your house without legal reasons, prevented from doing the things that you like, that is already considered as deprivation of liberty. They got my point. But take note, our right, okay, against unnecessary deprivation of liberty is not absolute. It is not fixed. It is not fixed. Ano sa man? Kay naa po tayo gitawag nga legal deprivation of liberty. Ano sa nato makonsider nga legal ang pag-deprive sa atuang katungod sa freedom? Example, if si Ramirez will commit a crime. So, if Ramirez will commit a crime and the crime has been discovered by the police officer or has been reported, of course, the job of the police officer is to arrest Mr. Ramirez. So, in that case, commission of a crime and you were arrested and you were detained is not a violation of your Section 1 because there is due process. It is considered as legal because you have committed a crime. They get my point. Another thing, nga, nga exemption for Section 1 wherein legally you can be deprived of your freedom. Example, si Ramirez Regiapon. Kaya siya may atong nadakpan. Assuming that Ramirez was found guilty for the crime of robbery. Oh, so in short, mapriso siya. So kanang servitude of the sentence. Okay, because he was found guilty beyond reasonable doubt and the judgment was already final and executory kay nilapaw na 15 days gikan sa paghatag sa final judgment. Buot pasabot that Justin Ramirez will now serve his sentence. Kabiri man, so ibalhin na siya sa New Bilibid Prison. So the first and the second example nga akong gihatag is an exemption to your right. Kaya nga naman, na ay times that you can be legally deprived of your right to liberty or right to freedom. Kaya nga naman, commission of a crime and servitude of the sentence. Okay. Another thing, what constitute a deprivation of property? When someone destroys its value. Ang nakalami ra, if you are a Filipino by birth, or naturalized Filipino is that we do have the right to own property. 'Di ba? It could be a real property, it could be a personal property. What's a real property? These are property of yours that cannot be transferred from one place to another. Example, yuta, balay, kana. Okay? So nobody has the right to destroy your property. So for example, si Ricardo, wala pa utangan ni Perlan. Ya isa yang kalagot iyang gisunog ang balay. Oh, gisunog ang balay ni Perlan. So that is a clear violation of Section 1. Kaya nga naman, yahamang gidestroy ang property ni Perlan. So, Ricardo is now criminally liable under our revised penal code. What particular crime has been committed? If that is the given scenario, arson. Okay? So kamo ayaw mo panunog og balay. Okay? Another thing, another thing is na under section 20 na under section 9 of this kuan Article 3 Bill of Rights gahisgot po didto nga our property cannot be converted into public usage unless there is just compensation, and that is correct. Kay nga naman part of the inherent rights of the state is the right of taxation, police power, and the power of eminent domain. So buot pasabot, pwede kaayo nga kwaon sa government ang portion sa ato ang land and convert it to public usage. But then again, that can only be done. That can only be done if there is payment on the part of the government. Okay? So in short, dili pwede i-convert atong yuta kung walay payment, just compensation on the part of the government. Okay. But then again, napoy times nga ang property nato pwedeng kwaon legally. Like for example, motor ninyo na ay checkpoint. Okay? Ya, imuhang ang motor ni Torres, Calabira, ang motor ni Torres walay side mirror. Usa pa may lain, wala ga helmet. Ah, muffler. Oh, complete og violation ius penyero. So unsa may buot pasabot ana? Unsa may buot pasabot ana? If there will be a checkpoint, of course, there is a visual. Unsay visual? Naay violation nga makita matod pang penyero og badon. Clear complete violation kuno kay puro kulang. So, if that is the case, part of the job sa atuang police officer or HPG or even sa LTO or conducting a checkpoint, pwede kaniyang parahon sa kilid. Okay. So, unsa may mahitabo? So, of course, to make the story short, kay kompleto mag-violation, so, ang imuhang motor will be impound. Nakasulay, Jonis Remorca, klaro kaayo. So, i-impound ang imuhang motor. Wala pa di ay. Wala pa. Okay. So, i-impound ang imuhang motor. Kanang act of impounding your motorcycle is not a violation of Section 1. Nga naman, there is a clear violation, visual violation on your part. Okay. Pero ma'am, what if ingani ang kuan? Inani ang scenario, giparar ako, wala ko'y visual violation, kompleto akong papers, gikuha dyan nila akong motor. Aw, if that is the case, that is a violation of your constitutional right, Section 1. But take note, walay kabuangong police officer nga bubuhat ana because they know kung unsay ilahang limitations during the conduct of checkpoint. Okay? Okay? Yes. Okay. Ani mo guna siya. Dili mo parahon kung wala mo'y visual violation. Basig wa siya ga face mask, wa siya ga helmet. Ku usa ka buok ra yang side mirror. Remember, ang side mirror dapat duha ka buok. Mo na siya. Dili mo ni ha, mo ni timan-in ninyo. Dili mo parahon unless naamoy visual violation. Hmm. So, assuming nga ibutang na to, let's go back to your scenario. Wala siya violation. Usa may ang gibuhat iyang gisagitan ang pulis. Correct. Disobedience. Disobedience na day. Munang kamo, muna tong, yes, yes, pwede kaayo. Mo nang akong giingon ninyo, di ba, ninyo gisultian na mo from the very beginning. Nga kamo, naamoy katungod. But whenever you talk to a police officer or kinsa nang naa sa checkpoint, you need to maintain respect para di mo matikitan og disobedience to kuan a person of agent in authority. So I think disobedience to or disrespect amo na siya. Dali ramang good na siya. But then again, I cannot speak on behalf of that friend of yours nga no pud tawon siya. Okay? So kinahanglan you need to maintain your composure. Okay? Para if ever you will file a complaint, there is no rebuttal on the part of the police officer. Okay? Pero naapoy uban nga ilabang usahon og pahunong tanan. Kabantay mo, na ubang checkpoint, labi na it's part of the COMELEC. Even if you do not have a visual violation, hunungon ko nila tanan. Labi na if it is a COMELEC checkpoint. Or for example na ay mga kuan hot pursuit, labi na tong na ay travel. So ilang pahunungon tanan. Pero dali ra man gud na siya. Ay ra mo kasuko. Okay? So kato, feeling nako disrespect tong iyaha. So now let's talk about what is the meaning of the equal protection of the law. So when you say equal protection of the law, it signifies that all persons. What do you mean by all persons? Ma-Filipino by birth, Filip naturalized Filipino, or even alien pa na. O say alien. Mga foreigner, okay, shall be subject to legislation, should be treated alike. Kung say alike, equally. Okay? Under circumstances and conditions both in privilege and liabilities imposed. Unsa may buot pasabot. That under the principle, 'di ba in our lesson in the second semester, no, first semester, we've talked about the different principles of the criminal law. Principle of territoriality, generality, and prospectivity of our criminal law. Part of under the principle of generality, it mentioned that the coverage of the law shall be binding to all people, including Filipino and alien. Buot pasabot nga the the rights itself should be given to all. Same as if a crime will be committed, the liabilities should be imposed as well equally. Like for example, kung ang foreigner maka-violate sa ato ang traffic laws, therefore, since giingon dia equal protection of the law, including the liabilities imposed, therefore, the foreigner should also pay, no? Face the consequences of the violation of traffic laws. Same as if the foreigner or Filipino will commit a crime. Therefore, under this principle, whatever criminal liability and civil liability will be incurred, it should be imposed. Do you get my point? Question. Question. No question? Are you sure? All right. So now let's proceed to section 2. Our section 2, it talks about, so balik ta ha. So again, usbo na ko. Section 1 is not an absolute right. Kung say absolute, fix. it is not fixed kay nga naman naay mga exemptions, naay mga limitations. Same as katong giingon sa liberty na ay legal circumstances nga pwede kang ma-deprive. Ano sa man? Servitude of the sentence, again, and the other one is commission of a crime. Another, our right to property is not an absolute right because there are instances nga pwede nang makuha ang atuang property for legal grounds. For example, again, katong giingon, converted to public as long as there is a just compensation. Or i-impound inyuhang motor kung naay violation. But then again, if it is not within the legal context or legal grounds or mga limitations or exemptions, then, like for example, ano sa may katong giingon akong property nga dili part of the exemptions, dili considered as legal kung sunugon lagi imuhang property. So kung sunugon imong property, so that is a violation of section 1. And the person nga nisunog is liable under the criminal law. RPC, arson. Okay. Another thing, like for example, si Justin, gibulagan ni Turtal, sa kalagot ni Ramirez, kay dili siya kadawat, nga gibulagan siyang Turtal ba? Namo yung uban, inana, di kadawat, dawat po, Choy. Okay? So, kung di ta kadawat, Choy, imong gubon ang iyahang motor, oh, that's malicious mischief. So, that is already a clear violation of the right of Turtal. Another, dili motor, pero imuhang gi tuok ang iro ni Tortal kay pet lover si Tortal. Remember, ang atong mga kahayupan ug atong pets are considered as property. Okay? So that is a violation as well. Continue. Wala na yung mga pangutana? Okay, pangutana ha? Okay, sige. Now let us continue with section 2. Ang section 2 na to covers the right of the people, atong katungod, to be secured from our what? Persons, houses, and papers. Okay? So, the effects against unreasonable. Kung say unreasonable, dili legal, arbitrary forms of search and seizures of any nature. Okay? Shall be inviolable. Okay. Mayuwin si inviolable, di na pwedeng kwaon nato kay atuan ng katungod. And no search warrant or warrant of arrest shall be issued by kinsa, by the judge without probable cause. Okay? O sa pa may lain. So the basis of the probable cause is the examination of the oath of affirmation of the complainant and the witnesses. And another thing, particularly describing the place to be searched and the person to be arrested and the items to be seized. So basically, our section 2, ang iyahang focus ani, persons, houses, and papers. So ang pangutana, ma'am, kinsa man ni nga person ang giprotect sa section 2? Of course, it's the Filipino people, including foreigners or alien. Another scope for Section 2 are houses. But take note, it is not limited to our abode sa atuang balay, but including ang atuang garage, ang atong warehouse, kung nakay tindahan ang imuang shop, imong store, and even your mga safety deposit vault. Asa man ang mga safety deposit vault? Ang naa na siya sa mga banks. So, naayuban, they will really have a vault itself. Okay, nga naa, nakabutang sa mga bangko. So, puhon-puhon, if you will have a job, and you do have plenty of money, and you do have plenty of alahas and diamond that you do not want to keep it in your house, kay mahadlok mo kawaton, so you can have a safety deposit vault sa bank. Okay? Napoy uban, they will just purchase a deposit vault or mga vault na may para pwede sa balay. Pero ay uban, sa bangko gyud sila. So those are part of the extension of the coverage of the word houses. Okay? Another thing, papers and effects. Kung sabot pasabot ana. Ang papers nato, it includes our letters. It includes our packages. Buot pasabot aning its effect nga nobody is allowed to unseal, open our letter and unpack our packages without our consent. However, its effect also includes that there are circumstances that are considered as valid as long as there is a court order to open your mail, to open your, and to examine your packages. Do you get my point? Do you get my point? Okay? So, makita nato daan nga gikan sa section 1 abot sa section 2, daily absolute, dili fix ang atuang katungod. Kay gano man, there is an exemption sa atuang mga rights. Okay? And these are the things that we are going to discuss. So, before ta mo proceed, Ana, dag-mention ta ganina about probable cause, correct? Na before a judge, kay kinsa na may pwede mo hatag og warrant of arrest, mo issue og warrant of arrest, and search and seizure warrant, it is only the competent judge. But then, the giving of these warrants are not automatic because ang usangan lantawon sa judge during the examination for the application is the probable cause. The question is, unsa man din ang probable cause? So, ang probable cause are the facts and circumstances, okay, which are sufficient enough to engender a well-founded belief that a crime has been committed and the respondent or the suspect or the accused is most probably guilty. Okay. Nga the judge, being the prudent man, no, will have a sufficient belief na, uy, most likely guilty. Or, uy, the crime is really committed or most likely been committed. Okay. Ang pangutana, what will cover the facts and the circumstances? So when you say facts and circumstances, this includes the testimony of the witnesses. This includes pieces of evidence. Ma'am, usap na example of pieces of evidence. Example nato is kanang mga, example lang ha, 'di ba ang mga balay ron, ang mga places and even buildings, mga establishment and even kanang sa karsada nanay mga CCTV camera, correct? So, kanang CCTV footage lang daan nga nakit-an si Diaz nga maoy nang sana na ning say tawag nang snatch sa bag ni Tortal is already a good evidence nga pwede nimong ipakita that will no that will give an engender belief that a crime is really committed, that the suspect is most likely guilty of the said allegation. Do you get my point? Do you get my point? Unsa may laing mga circumstances? Ang mga circumstances nga gi-refer ani can also include the testimony of the witnesses. Nga tinuod nga aning urasaha nilabay si Perlan. Nga walay laing tawo pod kuyog didto nga nagpungko didto si Diaz, grabe Diaz yung example no, nakawatan. Kusgana dagay yung Diaz. Ingon ana. Okay? So importante kaayo ang probable cause. Even in filing a complaint adto sa prosecutor, usa sa lantawon sa prosecutor is the probable cause. If ang imuhang complaint walay probable cause, i-dismiss ang imuhang complaint. But if there is a probable cause, your complaint will now be converted into an information. Kanang information maunay isang at i-forward sa prosecutor papunta sa judge. And ang trabaho sa judge is to examine. And kung naa-adjure probable cause, maunang there will be a regular filing of the case. Do you get my point? Do you get my point? Okay. So, Any questions in this part? Any question in this part? Because it's almost 12. Any question in this part? Okay? Any question on this part? So what is the difference between a search warrant and a warrant of arrest? Ang search warrant is kanini siyang warrant wherein authorizing the police officer para i-search ang usa ka lugar. Ang search warrant also includes the seizure. Unsay seizure? Kwaon ang mga items nga gi-stipulate sa search warrant. Because ang search warrant nakabutang na po diha ang lugar sa asa mo search, kung balay siya, asa nga balay, unsa nga kwarto, or is it the entire house. Dayo nga kabutang po diya ang mga items that must be searched. So, kana siya, mo na siya ilahang i-seize. So, sa ilaha pong pag-seize, kinahanglang well documented because tanan nga seize items kinahanglan og proper inventory. And after the inventory, the owner of the house should be given a copy of the inventory. Okay? So, anything nga is seized by the police officer, okay, nga not included in the inventory is considered as a crime. So, pwede pong mo-file og kaso ang owner of the house. Kaya nga man, gikuha ilang gold nga kwintas. Nga, usa may labot sa gold sa kwintas sa crime nga gibuhat. So, that is, in that sense, there is a clear violation on the part of the police officer. So, pwede po na siyang ma-filean og kaso. Kung mangutana mo, ma'am, kisa pwede na akong filean. Kato sila tanan. Nga included kato sila nga team nga who conducted the search and seizure. Always know your right. Kinahanglan ang tanang items nga gi-search, gi-seize, it should be included in the inventory and you as the owner should have a copy. Sunod nga pangutana ni Total, ma'am, what if tagaan ako inventory, copy sa inventory niya, dili dawaton? Ay, buhaton nimo as the team leader, ibili nimo ng inventory sa iyang lamisa. Ang importante, gitagaan o gibinda niyo copy. Do you get my point? Okay? So, it's already, do you have any questions?